a single car team.
Brad Keselowski won this race.
Daytona 500. And Delano, there are the Wood brothers. Oh my goodness. First win in 10 years.
Side by side. Come on, Norm. Hangs on.
Norm was not going to be denied.
And we did it. Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of the Also Ran broadcast. We have a very special guest on for y'all today. This conversation today is one of the longer ones we've had, and I promise you, it could have gone a lot longer, and I promise you, there will definitely be some upcoming sequels to this episode because there's a lot of things that I love in life, and racing is up there. As I've said before, priorities in life is God, family, racing, and then everything else. So that having been said, I want to welcome you all to the show. We're going to talk a lot of truck racing because...
Hey, I'm stealing y'all away from other Derek for a second so I can tell y'all about our brilliant sponsor, Gray Before Shave. Gray Before Shave offers everything you could possibly need for your hair up there. They've got oils, balms, butters. They've got waxes for your mustache, shampoo, conditioner. There's so much stuff. I don't have the time to sit here and tell you about everything. Head over to their website, graybeforeshave.com. See something you like, take it to the checkout. Before you check out, apply the code ALSO-RAN for 15% off your purchase. If you're undecided on which scent is right for you, they have an excellent bundle of oils that has one of each of their brilliant scents. I prefer the Pumpkin Smash. My wife absolutely loves their brand new Liquid Gold. It smells like adult bubble gum. That's the only way I can think to describe it. So head over there, graybeforeshave.com. Find something you like, check it out, use our discount code ALSO-RAN for 15% off. You won't be disappointed. Now, back to that other handsome bearded fella.
And producer Josh, why don't you just go ahead and say hello to the people?
What's up?
So one of the things I've been high on is, as a motorsport fan, mostly NASCAR, but there are other forms of motorsport, other racing vehicles that I like to watch. And trucks, in my opinion, have been putting on some of the best racing out there for the past few seasons, especially since Cup has gone to this new car. It seems like the product on track with the trucks, not just the product that they're racing, but the level of talent that we've seen in the trucks. The truck series, you have talent that's coming up from ARCA or maybe coming up from running some late models or whatnot, getting into trucks, and they have the opportunity to go on track and race against the likes of Kyle Busch, in the past, Kevin Harvick, even looking ahead to this weekend at St. Pete. You've got guys that are rookies in the truck series, and they're racing against Dario Franchitti, who is a multiple-time championship winner in open wheel. Guys like your guy, James Hinchcliffe. He's won several races in IndyCar over the years. Just what other series out there offers that,
Yeah. You had Tony Stewart. He didn't have a very successful Daytona race, but he raced in Daytona in the truck series, and the trucks are very exciting. And the past two races now of Atlanta and Daytona, I feel like they stole the weekend both times. So I'm very excited. I'm honestly more excited to be a truck fan than a Cup fan. I feel like Cup is kind of same old, and trucks, from this weekend with going to the street courses. I love street courses and I love seeing new things and trying new things. To the guest drivers that keep showing up, to the RAM program, to some of the people that we've gotten to know from the guests we have today, to Caleb that we had a few weeks ago, and Greg Van Alst. I know he's more of a part-time truck driver, but I feel so much more connected in the truck garage. So I'm happy to cheer them on and not see Tyler Reddick win the first 17 races of the season. So
Well, and something else they got going on this year too is Corey Heim has decided that he was going to go O'Reilly Racing, so that leaves a spot there for other teams. Like our guest today, David Pepper, as most people know him, with ThorSport. They've got 4 good trucks. They've won several championships over the years. It's an opportunity for them to shine, but at the same time, new fresh racetrack. A racetrack none of these guys, other than guys like James Hinchcliffe and Dario Franchitti, have been to. They're going to be turning their first laps there. So guys like Minnie Tyrell. I mean, look at last year he was running a Cars Tour, and through the opportunity afforded him through Ram Race for the Seat, he's now got a full-time truck ride, and he's taken his brand new Ram 1500 pickup truck to the streets of St. Pete in Florida. And I mean, if you watch this show, then it should probably come with some type of a warning. Exposure to the Also Ran broadcast will make you the fan of some Also Ran guys or Also Ran teams. And you're going to have trouble deciding who you actually want to pull for. But, and you're going to be pretty much our man on the scene this weekend. I mean, obviously not rolling cameras for us, but you'll be there firsthand and be able to give us your perspective when you return.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll bring my cameras. I'll I'm still a fan at the end of the day, and even if I'm not working, I'm just going to do it for myself. But I'll be out at the St. Pete race for the NASCAR Truck Series. I'm not going to do the whole weekend. I'm just going to do that race, and just because I feel like that, NASCAR is my sport. I've liked IndyCar in the past, and racing is fun altogether, no matter what. But I feel like I got to be there for my sport of NASCAR to be in my city. That's where I was born and raised, so I want to go check that out. So hopefully I can see our friend Pepper up on the spotter stand this weekend, and throw him some toilet paper or something. So they'll find out about that later.
Yeah, you definitely got to tune in to the whole show to understand the TP reference there. I'm gonna be honest, man. We are 3 weeks into the race season, and I really hate the fact that I don't live in Florida. 2 race weekends, and 2 opportunities for you to catch a race. Nothing happens down here where I live. I mean, I've got to drive all the way to Talladega, like that's a 6-7 hour trip, or go the other way to COTA, which some people are happy they're not racing in COTA this weekend, because one of the most unpleasant experiences in the COTA realm of being is having to walk around that track. And if I'm going to be honest, like, I like cars on track anywhere, NASCAR, race cars on track, but COTA's just never really rubbed me the right way. I feel like COTA is a track that was designed and built to get Formula One racing in the United States. And that's their big show. COTA will they're going to promote anything that runs there, but I think they're most proud of those fenderless cars with the wings running around their track. And I'm going to be honest, as boring as it is, it's probably, I could be wrong, and if I am and you don't agree with me, that's fine. Leave a comment after you like and subscribe to our channel. I think the Formula One racer it could possibly be better than what the Cup boys and the Xfinity boys are putting on. I could be wrong, but and I could also just be saying that to get y'all riled up. So that way you can go talking to everybody about them crazy guys over in the Also Ran broadcast. They're saying Formula is better than Cup. Are you serious? You got to go check those boys out, because something's wrong with them. They're my heads when they was young or something. But anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. I just had to get that out. I'm excited for all the racing this weekend. You got Cup boys, and you got the O'Reilly boys over in COTA. You got trucks in St. Pete. You got IndyCar season debut in St. Pete. Should be a fantastic weekend just to be a race fan in general.
Yeah. And that St. Pete track, at least, for IndyCar, usually is a very exciting race. I mean, if you like chaos, that track seems to produce a lot of, pile-ups, and it seems to be one of their most exciting tracks. So I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'll get back into IndyCar. I haven't really been a huge fan of IndyCar since James Hinchcliffe retired. I haven't really found. I'm all about the drivers and the people in the helmets, and I just haven't been able to nail down somebody that I can relate to. So maybe I can start that voyage again this year. We'll see. But I want to watch more racing. So
here's a suggestion for you. My suggestion is start watching Colton Herta, because Colton Herta could quite possibly be driving a Cadillac Formula One car in the next couple of years, depending on how the FIA looks at their licensing, which is, I mean, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I watched the biography on Ayrton Senna, and I watched how the FIA operates, and it just rubs me the wrong way. And the whole fact that Colton Herta has won multiple times in IndyCar, won more times in IndyCar than some of these guys, won in their open wheel cars in Europe, and he still can't get a license. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. The F1 thing is not appealing to me because good chance I'll never be a fan of that sport in my life. So they're too fancy.
Save money. Here's what you do, right? You get yourself a really fancy bug zapper, put it on the front or back porch, whichever one has a better view. Get you a sweet tea or lemonade and lawn chair and sit down and watch the bug zapper zap the flies that come by. And that's probably going to be more entertaining than watching, was it 3 or 4 teams, so 6 or 8 drivers fight for 3 podium spots, and then just have, alternating positions. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the drivers, right? The drivers that compete in Formula One are athletes, and the technology behind the cars they are racing is phenomenal. But it's just not, like, I'm not going to sit here and say Max Verstappen is not a good race car driver. I'm not going to sit here and say Lando Norris is not a good. They're phenomenal racing drivers. They are racers. They are not drivers, and they are racing like phenomenal equipment. I just like seeing a bunch of rednecks crashing into each other from time to time. Not wrecking each other, but when you're looking at the truck series going around Atlanta Motor Speedway, so close it's basically like a rolling. They're racing closer than you park to cars in the Walmart parking lot at almost 200 miles an hour. You can't do that in a Formula One car, and that will be
or IndyCar.
Segue. Yeah. We're gonna talk about something with 2 wheels for a second. If you want to see some of the most phenomenal racing on a racetrack anywhere in the world, MotoGP puts on the best racing, hands down. You may not know who the racers are, and you don't need to. They race bikes that, like NASCAR race cars, are very colorful, very loud. They do fast, zippy things in corners where they shouldn't be doing it, and these guys are basically laying down. Looks like they're more comfortable going through the apex on a corner at freaking Le Mans than I am laying in my couple $100 mattress upstairs. MotoGP racing. Check out 1 or 2 races. Oh, yeah. If you don't appreciate it, then you're missing out.
The amount of testicular fortitude it takes to drive one of those, or even to drive these open wheel cars, F1, IndyCar, it's unbelievable. How quick they turn these cars, and I mean, it is so different than NASCAR. But with that being said, you're watching those races. I'm not necessarily saying MotoGP, but the open wheel, you're watching those for the art of the car, for just battling the car versus the track. And NASCAR, it's all about driver versus driver. You want to have a good close race and a good good battle to the finish, and that's what makes things most exciting to me. I'll be watching this year for the first time. I'm going to watch all the way through the Cars Tour. You got the IHRA coming out with their stock car league, and that's what's most exciting to me. Is it as badass of a car as a F1 car? No, but it's probably going to be more exciting. So that's what it's all about, man. You gotta, at the end of the day, I want to be able to talk about, did you see that pass? Did you see that finish? And not did you see Max Verstappen win by 20 seconds? And
you mentioned something earlier, and I have to touch on this because I would regret if I didn't. I brought up motorcycles. I brought up MotoGP. You brought up testicular fortitude. for those of you watching this, if you have only ever watched any of the series that we've ever talking about, and you have never experienced what they do on the Isle of Man, my Lord, are you missing out on a show? At some point in time, you have to tune in to the Isle of Man. It's never live because we're here, and they're on the island out by like Ireland or Scotland or wherever it is. Those guys literally drive through towns at over 200 miles an hour. I mean, have you ever seen this, Josh? The Isle of Man? Okay. You have to put that on the to-do list, right? When we get done recording this, when you get done watching this, to the fans out there, Isle of Man TT. YouTube it. Watch what these guys like Guy Martin are doing. And you'll wonder how the heck are they straddling these bikes with the testicular fortitude required to do what they're doing. And I'm just going to leave that out. I had to bring it up. You know, this introduction to our show has kind of gone awry, but while we're out there, you know, playing in the dandelion field, I just as well go ahead and throw that one out there too.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm not going to, we're going to concentrate on four wheels now.
All right. Well, for everybody watching, let's go ahead and knock it out. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it on all the algorithms and things. And on the audio realm, please rate and review.
Don't dumb it down. Don't, Josh, don't dumb this thing down. Okay. We need you, right? So we are going to hunt this savage thing called an algorithm. Right now, this thing, it preys on the YouTubes, right? It's out there. It's doing what it does. And we need you to help us tame this savage beast. We need you to like and subscribe to what we're doing here. Right? Comment. Let me know if this accent is shite. Okay? I said shite, I didn't. I added the E there, so don't be thinking I'm going all PG-13. Like, subscribe, please. If you're listening, yeah, that's right. If you're listening to us there, give us a rating and review. Help us get this algorithm thing taken care of, so that way the masses can take in this grand experience that is the Also Ran broadcast. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done.
All right. Yeah, no, of course I can't do it as good as you, but... All right, brother. Well, you ready to bring on our guest?
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. The admission to the show is absolutely free. Without further ado, David Pepper. Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Also Ran broadcast. Today, our special guest is a bit of an enigma. When I invited him to come on the show and decided to do a little Google searching for David Pepper of ThorSport Racing, very little information could be found. So that made me very happy because this episode will now be the go-to source of all the information you could possibly need for David Pepper, team manager of ThorSport Racing. Before I hand it over to the handsome young man in that other square over there, just want to give y'all some tidbits, some information, some facts on ThorSport Racing. ThorSport Racing is the longest tenured organization competing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They are since 96. They have 7 championships. Is that right? 7?
7 truck titles, yes.
7 truck titles. They're the only team to have 2 back-to-back championships in 2013 and 2014, 2023 and 2024. They were the first team to have a 1-2-3 finish in the Truck Series. The only team to have 2 1-2-3 finishes, and the only team to have, ladies and gentlemen, not just a first, second, and third place, but a first, second, third, and fourth. If you could do your math, that's the full team finishing in the top 4 positions. So, I mean, Mr. Pepper, sir, it is a pleasure to welcome you onto our humble little podcast. Now that I've kind of expelled enough carbon dioxide, I need to take a breath. How are you doing tonight?
Man, doing fantastic. Just happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me. Well, those were some good stats. Those brought back a lot of good memories right there. Vegas that night we ran 1 through 4 was a magical evening.
And it's yet to be. It could be one of those things where maybe it will never be matched. Who knows? That's the idea anyway, right?
Records are made to be broken. So
unless y'all could be the first Truck Series team to finish 1, 2, 3, 4 twice in a row, then you just kind of.
Sometimes we take 5 trucks. We'll go for 1 through 5. We'll see.
Hey, there you go. Why not, man? You gotta pad the numbers.
That'd be quite the feat in this competitive series.
So why don't you, if you don't mind, just kind of introduce yourself to our fans. I think I told them you were the team manager for ThorSport. You've been there 22 years. But before you get to ThorSport, you had to have been introduced to racing in some way, shape, form that kind of introduced you to that need to be around it. So how was a young Mr. Pepper introduced to racing?
So I won't get super long-winded. I'll make it short and quick, and won't bore people with a lot of the details. But just young man came in off his bike from playing outside, plopped down on the couch, and it was in February, and grabbed a drink of water and was flipped on the TV, and they had on this race with a bunch of cars going around, and was called the Busch Clash at Daytona, and the guys were racing, and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And a bunch of them got together, spun, and this guy flipped over. It was Ricky Rudd at the time, flipped over a bunch of times, and popped out of the car okay. And as a kid, you're like, wow, that was pretty wild. And then they went to a commercial break and said the Great American Race was going to be on next week. And as a kid, you're like, wow, that was pretty exciting. I'm tune in and watch it. And, the next week I tuned in and watched it. And it's like, man, this racing's cool. And then you just grew up tinkered on cars, loving cars, watching the racing, just immersing yourself in it. Decide, you go as early on as a fan, and just said, man, I got to figure out how I can work on the other side of this fence and not be a fan anymore and be in this. And my dad told me, don't ever let anybody ever tell you can't do it, and you just figure out how to make it happen. And so I set forth over the next 20 years, volunteering, going to races, doing whatever I could do just to get my name out there and get an opportunity, driving show trucks, putting decals on, doing pit work, just wiping down cars, pushing them, sometimes paying my own way to get to the track. No different than hundreds of other guys' stories to do this. Got offered a job, got another job. You work your way up. You learn a different skill set. You learn as many different skill sets as you possibly can, working through the garage, welding, fabricating, decaling, painting, driving the truck, public relations, marketing, managing, parts, pieces, just every single thing of the whole company. And in the back of your mind, you're saying, I don't want to be the best at one thing. I want to learn as much about this as I possibly can. And I want to run one of these race teams one day and compete at a high level and try to win. And so the journey has been a 37-year journey, getting to this point of my life where now I'm what would probably be a veteran guy compared to some of the young guys we hire. It gets kind of depressing when you're buying plane tickets and you're looking at their ages and you're thinking, wow, I was going to truck racing and NASCAR racing before these guys were born. And it keeps it in perspective, but it's exciting because you've been able to last this long and still love doing what you do. And over all these, 3+ decades, I've never had a real job. I literally get to go racing. I'm one of the luckiest people in the whole world, and I try to pay that forward by giving young people a shot, because had a few people in my life not given me an opportunity, the Clarence Brewers of the world, had he not given me a shot, um, I wouldn't be sitting here today. The guy that was running that team at the time took a chance on me and gave me a job, and then Bobby Hamilton, took a chance, and you work with those folks, and you have these, lifetimes that you've lived in all these different race teams, and the camaraderie that you've built that lasts over the years, like with the Bobby Hamilton stuff. The key people in that team, we all still get together still to this day. When we race in Nashville, all of us get together and have dinner and reminisce and tell stories. We're way better now than we were then, and we were pretty good then at some of the stories we tell. But it's just been an incredible journey to get to this point, and be the team manager here at ThorSport Racing and have all the tools with Duke and Rhonda Thorson, and be able to win championships in the truck series, and then to check off a lot of other boxes, go IndyCar racing, spot for Andretti Autosport, and do the IMSA 24-hour race, and have a chance to win one of those, and came up a little short. And just go to cool racetracks all over the country that you're checking off boxes of things you want to do, and then spotting for the last 20 years, and winning races with guys like Kenny Schrader and Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton and Ty Majeski most recently. We won a short track a couple years ago. Just, man, having a great time working with smaller teams that have that dream to try to compete, like BJ and Live Fast, and helping Tommy Joe with his team trying to build it up. And you just at this point, you want to go win, and you're able to do that with your own team. But now I can go help other people who have been in the sport, and I know how much they want to be here. So you want to try to bring the knowledge and the drive that you have, and try to help them get to their dream. I think I almost take as much pride now when we win races to see the looks on the young guys' faces that this is their very first win at a racetrack. And so the journey from starting when I was, 20 years old and before, and getting to where we are now, yeah, it's been really fun.
You mentioned Brewco Motorsports. Now, I didn't start watching the sport until 2004, and I didn't really become passionate about it till 2008. So when you said Brewco, what type of team was that? At like a Busch Series team, or
We were a Busch Series team at the time. Yep, Timberwolf, Redman, Clarence Brewer out of Central City, Kentucky, built him a race team and won a bunch of races. And yeah, Todd Wilkerson was the GM there, and there was some really great people at that organization.
Now, did something happen to that team to where you went to Bobby Hamilton's team, or was it just one of those things where you felt like you were kind of progressing your career going over to Bobby Hamilton's race
Just
team?
another opportunity.
Okay.
Just you every single step, everything you did was to get the next opportunity. And that's not to say that you're not loyal, but it's looking, and you go as far as you can go in one company, and another door opens, and you step through it, and you learn more at that company. And you had to move companies for the journey to keep continuing. If you stayed in that same house, race teams have a life cycle. Most race teams have a life cycle, and they're anywhere from 3 to 5 years, maybe sometimes 7. It's a very scant few that last, 20, 30 years or longer. And it's your super teams like the Petties, the the Joe Gibbs Racing, the Wood Brothers, the Penske's of the world. And I'd like to think that I helped contribute to ThorSport being in the backside of that conversation. Is this is our 30th year of racing, and Duke and Rhonda have, pledged a lifetime of theirs building their race team into what it is today. And that's another journey. It's just another journey that you've been on with really great people. And when I say that, it's all the people that came before me, with me, they'll come after me. Being part of something that's been successful, whether it be for a brief amount of time or for a long period of time, you take pride in that. And we've managed to build a really solid organization, but that starts with Duke and Rhonda and their daughter Allison. Duke and Rhonda had a vision of what this race team, what they wanted. They wanted to win championships and build a stable, quality organization that, people, when they thought of the truck series, they'd think of ThorSport Racing. And so every year he gives us what we need to build that just a little bit more and go compete at a high level. And one of the things that I think we should be proud of is not only winning and competing at a high level, but now you walk through the garage area after 30 years, and we are the team that have given a multitude of young people, young men and women, opportunities to get into the sport. And they've run with it, worked at our organization, did very much what I did early on in my career. And then they've made the leap to Xfinity Cup, IndyCar racing, sports car racing. And so you can walk through all these different garages, and it's cool. You walk through, hey, Pep, hey, Dad, what's going on? And there's all these people that are excelling in the sport that we help get their start for them. We gave them their start, and they've run with it. And the garages are filled with really great former ThorSport employees that, we vetted, we trained, and other people have hired, and they've gone on to win races. A couple of them were on the Daytona 500 winning team 2 weeks ago. So,
That's
cool.
saying a lot too, because so we had talked before the show, and we talked in the past where I hate to even call ThorSport, or even it gets awkward because producer Josh and I have this show, and we're using it as a platform for also ran type of personalities within the sport that normally don't get the spotlight they deserve. And from a weird perspective, at times ThorSport seems like an also ran team, not because of the lack of success or anything, or the lack of quality you're bringing to the track, but just because y'all are in Sandusky, Ohio. How do they go from starting? And this is where my limited amount of research is going to come into play. They started in Sandusky, Ohio, with a driver from Ohio, and their first sponsor was an Ohio-based team. Two questions, I guess. At what point in the process and their growth did you come into it? And from your perspective, looking at, or even their perspective, because you have such a great relationship with the owners, looking back at how they started and how y'all are now like the most successful team in trucks. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing.
It's been a cool ride, I can tell you that. We pull in, and I look across at where the first shop used to be, and then the second shop used to be, and now we're in this beautiful facility that they've built for us. And it's like, wow, I remember when we needed to buy some more lights because it was so dark in the first shop, and we had the shop was about the size of what the showroom is on our current shop, that we never dreamed we'd fill that with trophies. We hoped, but you never dreamed that you would. I started here in 2004. They had been around for 8 years, and we had raced against them. So I have to take this from a third person view of the story I was told. Duke and Rhonda were always race fans. They loved racing, and he his company, ThorWorks Industry, is world's largest manufacturer of highway and driveway coatings. And so they're at a trade show, and you always have to have some little skit for your trade show. And they got talking in the booth, because you're there all day, all weekend. They said, man, we should get one of these Craftsman trucks that just started up and paint it up with our company name on it and put it in our booth. So that happened. The story then, I guess, everybody's sitting there talking, hey, we should race this thing. And they went across the street to Sandusky Speedway and got the hot shoe driver, Terry Cook, and his brother at the time. And they came over and basically hauled the car to Milwaukee, ran their first race. And I think they finished 12th. And I like to joke with Duke. And then the spending was on because, 30 years later and millions of dollars later, and sponsors and teams and drivers and people, they built it one race car, one piece, one part at a time. I give him credit for the vision that he had to say, hey, I want to build a championship team. And sure that early on there were many, many nights where he thought that was a good idea to shut this thing down and stop doing this, because it's a rough road. And I'm sure he still has some of those feelings sometimes when we have really bad weekends. But the competitor in him kept the dream alive, kept him building his organization. And I interviewed here and came here. He bought me a plane ticket. I came here in 2004, and I landed in landed in Cleveland, Ohio, from down south. Not a big fan of the snow, thinking to myself, in the blizzard that I was in, man, there is no way that I'm going to accept a job in this cold place. And 22 years later, 22 years and a week later, because I started on February 9th, his speech of what he wanted to build was so compelling that I decided to join it in 2004 and be a part of all these great people that have come after that and helped us build this organization into the winning company that it's been. And yeah, he is the driving force, he and his wife, in getting us motivated and giving us everything we need to go, win. And when we walk into the track, I joke, because some of my friends have known me forever ask me, do you own any clothes that don't say ThorSport on them? Because that's all I ever wear. I'm in a ThorSport shirt pretty much 24/7. And it's because we built something that you take pride in. And I don't even think about it. You just grab your shirt and you go. But you walk into the racetrack and you walk through the airports and drive down the road and whatever, getting to the races. And there's a sense of pride of everybody that wears the shirt, or it is for me, to say just what you said. Hey, we're the only team that's finished 1 through 4. We're the only team that's 1 through 3. We're back-to-back championship this thing twice. We've won 7 titles in 10 years, 12 years.
And you also, something else I wanted to point out too, because I was going to ask you, with the owner having that mindset and having the ability, getting off the plane, trudging through the snow, the frostbite is trying to murder you. How big of a role did he play in 2016 when y'all had that huge fire? That pretty much, it's definitely an obstacle. I remember seeing the races where y'all were pretty much just putting stuff together out of your haulers.
Yeah, it was, I give him a tremendous amount of credit. There again, it would have been really easy to pack it in and say, man, guys, I think we're good. I think we're done. I don't know if we can come back from this. And, we were out of our building for 7.5 weeks. The head of operations, George Sharp, with Duke telling him, we got to get back in the building, make it happen, brought in at sometimes over 100 people demoing the back of the building, rebuilding this thing. We were back in our building in 7.5 weeks. And through that, the community embraced us. We got a real eye-opening experience. And I could tell you some of those stories briefly about how much we mean to the community, but how much the community now means to us. Because you race every week and it's your job and you don't think about it. And all of a sudden, all these people in the community are coming out asking us, man, what do you need? Can we give here, use one of our buildings here? We'll share, part of our parking lot or work over here. And here's an office building. And here's a building we're not using. Come build your trucks here. We got to keep you guys at the racetrack. And then Duke embracing that and being the motivating factor to say, all right, guys, let's just make this happen. There is no, we can't do this mindset with Duke. You have a problem, you solve it, and you move on. And some of the things that went on, I honestly think we were a stronger team the year we burnt this building than any other year, because it made the group of guys on that team. Each year it's a different group of people. You lose some, you gain some. It's kind of like football. You're always piecing together new groups. But that group was motivated to win a race, and we didn't even have a building. To your point, we were working out of our haulers and in what used to be the old Kroger parking lot. Just crazy things that went on. And one of the coolest stories that really gave you perspective on what, like I said, we meant to the community and what the community meant to us. Now that we kind of embrace that we're Northern Ohio's race team, the only true race team that's in Northern Ohio. We had a lady that was pulling up to the Kroger building where we were working, and she was a little older, and I'm like, oh man, this lady doesn't realize that the Kroger has built a new building and moved down the street. And so I kind of hustled over to her and says, ma'am, the Kroger is moved. And she looked at me and said, yeah, I know that. I was coming to check on you all to see if you were okay. I saw you had to fire, and are you guys going to be okay? You going to race at Iowa this week? And I was like, well, yes, ma'am. We're working on the trucks right now. That's what these boys are doing. We're going to be in Iowa. And she was like, oh man, that's great. I watch you guys every week. I didn't know what I was going to do if you guys weren't going to be racing. It just wasn't going to be the same to watch. And she said, I got some cookies and stuff in the car that I made if you guys want some. And it's like, you get this, you get a whole different perspective of, we're going through this fire burning and we think it's bad and we're trying to rise above it. And here are all these people that we're on their backs saying, what can we do to help, raise this group up? Because they're our team, they're our people. People bringing food to us and Jimmy John's and Lee's Chicken, just bringing food out to the guys saying, hey, we know you can't really leave your equipment all out and you can't get to lunch. We brought some food out. And during the fire, you're showing some pictures of the fire department and the first responders there. Those guys were going into the fire and pushing our race trucks out to us, the ones we raced at Iowa, to make sure that we had our trucks. That's not their job. Their job's to put the fire out. And they went above and beyond. So every time we go race, yeah, we're racing for Sandusky and Erie County and all the different townships around the area that sent fire trucks and first responders and then we win championships and we have the open houses and we're like, oh, we'll have maybe 1,000 people show up, and we have over 5,000 people show up in a snowstorm to come see our race shop. I mean, it gives you a sense of pride to go and race and represent those people, not just represent yourself.
With that kind of community and what you're describing, is like this huge family type of environment. How has the first year without Matt Crafton being there? How have y'all handled? How has the team handled that? I'm not that it would be an obstacle. I mean, but as far as that figurehead that is always there and has been there for so long.
It's different. It's going to take some getting used to. I think everybody, media, fans, drivers, everybody's going to get. It'll take a little while to look and see that '88 truck, that yellow Menards truck running around there, and not instantly think, oh, it's Matt Crafton. Now you got to think it's Ty Majeski. Hopefully, a couple wins from now, that'll become a lot easier. Different, but the same. I mean, it's racing and the evolution of racing. It moves on. Matt is still. Everybody says he's retired. We're still looking. You never know. He might end up in a ThorSport truck here and there down the road. You just never know what we're going to do. But he's still in the family. I mean, we still talk to him. He and the owner have had a relationship for years and years. They'll continue to have that relationship. He's just not driving the truck. That doesn't mean that he's not in the background of our company. You can't be here for 20 years and just walk away. There'll always be remnants of that. I mean, heck, we still have all the trophies, all the pictures. It's not like we turned off the switch and wiped all that away. He's a part of this company and has been there for 2 decades and helped us, climb the mountain. And I was part of, I know this is where I'm going to flash back on you. We won a lot of racing, a lot of championships, but the one thing that I think I'm the most proud of this organization is in 2013 when we won that championship. We're the only team ever to complete every lap, every mile of a season.
As a team, so that's like across the board, all your trucks.
No, the '88 team. Year, the '88 truck finished every lap, every mile. No issues, no bolts falling off, nothing crazy happening, not finishing a lap down, no flat tires, no crazy electric gremlin, nothing like that. Every lap of every mile, every race for 1 year.
Yeah, and seeing how the truck guys race, that's saying a lot.
It's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And that group did that was a pretty amazing feat. That other people may break a lot of records. I don't know if that one will ever be broken. That one might stand for a while.
Yeah, we were talking about Matt Crafton, and we had Norm Benning on not too long ago, and we were talking about the Eldora race, and I happened to be at one of the Eldora races the year that y'all were running Rico, and I'm going to be honest, I was not like, I liked Matt Crafton. There's never a driver that I don't like, right? There's just some personalities that just don't really rub me the right way, and Matt Crafton he never really stuck out on my radar. And went to the Eldora race, and my number one goal was to meet Rico, because as a sucker for the also ran stories, Rico Abreu coming into the sport, where he was, a lot shorter than some of the other he was shorter than all the other competitors, and I'm sure y'all had to set the trucks up differently and stuff like that, but the fact that I finally got a chance to meet Rico, and when I got the picture back and that goofy looking guy in the background had photobombed me, that made me an automatic Matt Crafton fan right there. I was like, I don't care what happens. And I was like, I got to meet Rico. I got a new truck driver that I'm going to pull for. And, then Matt put a lot of work into being able to go run on dirt, and then he eventually that year Kyle Larson won, but Matt Crafton eventually got that dirt track win. What year was that, if you can remember?
Oh my, you put me on the spot. 2017, I want to say.
Okay, well, I don't know, so I can't say you're right or wrong.
Yeah,
so we'll just go with
they all run together. I've got a little jar of dirt around here somewhere from the win, so I guess it's a good problem that they run together. We had a little run of success there at Eldora for a while. So
it's funny you mentioned the jar of dirt. I have an Eldora shot glass with Eldora dirt in the shot glass, and my wife says, "You're just ridiculous, baby. Who puts dirt in a shot glass? I mean, really? It's Eldora. Who wouldn't put dirt in a glass? I mean,
there's places that you go race that you want to win, and there's things that you have. There's the dirt in glasses at Eldora. There's the gladiator sword at Bristol. There's the clock at Martinsville. I mean, I've got a couple little replicas of Miles the Monster from winning at Dover. I mean, there's things that I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people. They're probably worth nothing to, most people, at a yard sale someday maybe. But you work all your life and it's like, I'm going to get me a Miles the Monster trophy because that's just cool. And then you win one, and then it's like, oh man, we got the gold one. We won on the 50-year anniversary. So now I got one that looks like concrete and one that looks like gold. And it's like, that's just cool. I mean,
so what?
Little things like that.
What is, talking about trophies and everything that got me to thinking, y'all have a very important race coming up this week at St. Pete. How would adding that trophy to the trophy case, like that would, I mean, as iconic as a team as y'all are?
I mean, you want to win everywhere, but I mean, it's the inaugural race there. You want to win the first one. It would just be cool because it's like you're claiming the racetrack for the very first time that you were the best at it, and nobody's ever been there, so you can be the first one to. It's like going to the moon. You stick your flag in the ground in Victory Lane there, and you're the first one to do it. 50 races, 20 races, 100 races from now, if we're still racing there, we were the first ones to win. And so, you want to go there and win because it's just a cool venue, a cool place. But there's everywhere is cool to win at. Now, don't get me wrong, winning's great, but you always want to win the inaugural race at places.
Well, plus you never know, like if it's contracted 2 years or whatever, they may only give out 2 trophies, and if you can have one or preferably both of them, I mean, you can show that off in your trophy case and say like, hey, Toyota, y'all had Corey Heim as a champion, good for y'all, but do you have a St. Pete trophy? Right, kind of bragging rights a little bit.
100%. I mean, I think that in a lot of ways, that's why you go racing, you go compete. You want to have bragging rights that you've done something that nobody else has done. I mean, it's,
What has the feeling been like amongst the guys? Like, so this year, Ty Majeski's back, Ben Rhodes is back. You've got Jake Garcia, Cole Butcher. What has their outlook on St. Pete been? Is it one of those, is it like a feeling of trepidation going into it, or is it just, hey, kind of going back to Lee Petty when he first walked into Daytona and he saw the high banks and he's like, hey, I've never run here, but nobody else has run here either, so why can't we be the best ones at it?
Mixed bag. I'd say that there's some of that. You've got Cole, who's never really run a road course. So, he's apprehensive. He's like a sponge trying to absorb everything about road racing that he possibly can, going to the sim, talking to people, watching races. Then you got the Ben Rhodes and the Ty Majeskas of the world who admittedly are pretty good road racers and have won some road races. And they're watching the very same videos and doing the very same sim, but their mindset is that they're absorbing everything they can because of what you just said. Hey, why not me? And nobody else has been here. If I learn the most, absorb the most, make the most of this opportunity, recognizing little nuances about the racetrack or things that people do, and talking to guys I know that, have run there, or, hey, I got a buddy that ran IndyCar there with this guy, well, let me talk to him. What's the track do? What's it do? And throw in the fact that it probably is going to rain this weekend while we're there. And that's another twist. So, yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. Everybody wants to win, but you're studying the same material, because the material is the material. It's just what's out there. And you're trying to gain a competitive advantage, but from very different perspectives, just because of your experience level. Jay Garcia, really good on road courses, but admittedly has not run as many road races as some of the people that'll be there this weekend. So he's approaching it entirely different than the other three in our company. So the best we can do is provide them all the simulation through Ford that we can, all the knowledge that we can gather from all of our sources, everybody in the company that knows somebody that has either been there or, is a road racer or knows road racing, and try to give that information to our drivers so they can excel on Friday, Saturday.
So where does David Pepper, because so the fans know, the way I came across your name was because I was trying to track down the whoever was spotting for Corey LaJoie in that Daytona crash, back when him and Ryan Newman had that crash that we all know of. And what is your team role? Because obviously, I mean, we've talked a few times over the past few weeks, and when you're not doing this, it seems like you're like hunting somebody to spot for. So do you spot for any of your guys, or do you strictly stay like on your box and team manager 110%?
So different situation this weekend. At standalone races, I will spot. For the most part, I do not spot for my own trucks, because I don't want any of the drivers to think one's my favorite. I want them all to win. I don't have a favorite team. I want them all to win. There's a lot of responsibility in watching and observing and coming back to the shop and being able to speak intelligently about the whole weekend and what all of our teams did and what we need to all work on to get better, that I'm not able to do if I spot one of our trucks. Now, on a weekend like this, where I haven't hired another person to do one of the trucks, we need to put the very best people in place to go win races. So yes, I'll go up on the spotter stand this week. I'll spot for Ty Majeski. We've got equally qualified people that we bring in, and our competition director, Tracy Hines, he'll go up on the spotter stand. He does it at standalone races. Normally he would be on a pit box, just working with the teams, all of them. And so we go up, and it changes our role where we're now the spotter. And so, yes, leading into this race, I will watch IndyCar races. I've watched probably 10 hours of IndyCar racing at this facility. I've talked to all my IndyCar buddies about, if we got the spotter stand in turn one, what nuances, what's the best angle, where can we see, what are the things I need to know about this racetrack, what happens during the race, just kind of doing the same thing that the drivers are doing, because we've never been there, trying to absorb as much information about this racetrack and spotting for my driver, so I can bring that level of confidence. He'll hear my confidence on the radio, and then that'll build confidence in him to go out there and lay down a lap and make this happen. And you hope you put the right people at the right groups, so we've got 4 trucks that can go and win these races. And so this week the role changes a little bit, and so I've got to go and do my research and be the best spotter that I can be for Ty.
Now, quick question, and then we'll wrap this up because I know you got things you got to do, and I'm long-winded, and I
That's
can
all right. I
sit.
can talk racing all day long.
And that's the other problem is I could sit here and listen to somebody else talk racing all night. What makes you what gives you that desire to want to do? Because so I've told several people that I know in the industry, hey, look, I'm having David Pepper on the show. Are there any questions you want me to ask him? And there are some of those questions that I'll throw out in a second. But all right, for the most part, talking to Stanton Barrett. Stanton Barrett's like, I don't have any questions that you can ask him to kind of, raise the level of your broadcast, but I can tell you he's a great spotter. He's a good dude. He's a great spotter. And when I talked to you, we tried to set this interview up a couple different times, and we had issues the week of Daytona, and you were going out, looking for people to spot for. What is it about doing that and spotting for Corey LaJoie at Daytona? What is it about spotting that? Is it being able to help people, or is that just one of those things that you enjoy doing?
Both. But I'd add a third to that. It's competing.
Okay.
And that might be the biggest thing for me. On our truck side, I'm management. I'm getting people in place. You're making sure everybody has what they need to go win. But each individual group team is the team that's competing. Your guys are competing to win for you. And it's a weird way to look at it, I know. But I'm not competing in that group. I'm watching our team compete, and we've put all the pieces in place to compete. But I look at it as a different perspective. Because you're the 100-foot perspective or the 1,000-foot perspective of your team competing, and it's still awesome to win, but it's different. When I'm spotting, yes, I'm helping. Sometimes you do it to help a young driver. Right now I'm doing a little spotting and doing some consulting with Tommy Joe Martin's team, and I've been with them for years, and I'm trying to help him give, LeVar Scott the best opportunity that he can have, because I think LeVar is extremely talented. Think he can win races and have a great career at this. He just needs the right people around him, and hopefully we can surround him with the right people and talk to him and convey the knowledge of all these different racetracks to him. Where I'm working a lot with Tommy Joe, conveying that so he can talk to him and get him where he needs to be. And then his other driver, Brennan Poole, I worked with Brennan in his very first asphalt race at Salem Speedway, where we won the race together. And so I have a relationship with him, and I want to see him compete at a high level and get that opportunity to get back to where he can win races. He is, again, an extremely talented race car driver that I still can't really fathom hasn't won an Xfinity race yet, just because I know how good that he was. When I worked with him back in 2007 and we won the race at Salem, and I've got to believe that if we give him the right stuff, he can have a chance to win some races down the road. And so you go do that, and then over the years I've worked with Corey and Matt DiBenedetto for 5 or 6 years as his career was starting, and just different guys. You go do Indianapolis with the Andretti's and got to spot for Marco Andretti and John Andretti, and those were great experiences and a lot of fun. And it's my way of competing. You're on the team, you're competing, you're taking your knowledge base and your ability and facing off basically at the racetrack against the other 35 competitors and trying to beat them. And so you get this thrill of competition. When we go and we work with BJ's team and we're out there competing, and we make the Daytona 500 this year. All right. And we missed it the last 2 years. people don't understand what that meant to BJ and the team and myself to still be there on Sunday and get to race in the Great American Race. Now, granted, we ran 4 laps and had a parts failure that took us out of it, which was heartbreaking, but we got to compete in the Daytona 500, and it's been a couple years. And so your competitive juices are rolling, and it's like, man, we got to get back and do it again next year, and we got to get to the finish. And, BJ and I have had a top 10 finish with one of the cars that he owns and basically sponsors himself. And he and Joe Falk own it. And, when you have a top 10, I see the picture there. We finished 9th at Daytona. That was his best Cup finish. Man, that was amazing. His family was there. His wife, his mom and dad were there. And that was just a cool experience, man, because we're not supposed to get a top 10 and beat all these $1 million teams, multi-million-dollar teams. And on that day, for us to compete against them and beat them, man, that was awesome. That's what I go spot for. It's funny. BJ and I were talking when we left Atlanta, and I told him, I said this, and I will say it till the day I quit doing this. The day I walk up on the spotter stand and I'm spotting that race car and I'm not fired up to compete and try to win the race or get a top 10 or get a top 20 or outrun whoever we're racing against, then I'm going to stay at home and I know I'm done. It's time for me to quit doing this. But as long as that competitive fire is in me to go and help a young driver or help and I'll use the show's name, an also ran or a backmarker team or the consummate underdog. I mean, I embrace that. I mean, even to this day, I feel like I'm the underdog. I didn't have any family in this. I had to get to racing and make a career of it by just simply outworking and outwanting everybody else that maybe had a better advantage because they had family or friends that were in this. And so I'm always going to relate to the guy who just desperately wants to race and compete and be there. And I'm going to go out and kind of gravitate to those people and try to help them and try to live their dream with them. I mean, I helped a guy in ARCA, Bob Martin, at a test, try to get him approved so he could race at Daytona. He's 65-ish years old. And we probably had no chance to win the race, obviously. But his lifelong dream was to go to Daytona and race on the high banks of Daytona. And some friends called me and asked me, hey, would you help this guy try to do this? And everybody in the world asked me why I was going down and doing this and knowing that I didn't have a chance to win. And I said, because if we make the race and we get to race, then Bob Martin has lived his dream and David Pepper has helped him live his dream. And that's cool. That's cool to me. So to answer your question, it was a really long answer because I'm like you, I can talk racing all day. It's all of that. It's to compete. It's to help people. It's to pay it forward to all the people who have given me opportunities to get where I'm at, to get to this position in my life. I want to pay that back and help as many people until my career's over get to live their dream as I possibly can. And if some people find that to be crazy because they don't understand it, so be it. But, it's funny you say Stanton Barrett. I was on the plane with him going back home from the race in Daytona. And I love Stanton. Stanton's a great guy. I spotted for him a bunch of times. Every year he goes out to run, he calls me, and every year I've already taken a deal or I would spot for him. I've signed on to do something else because, as I told him, man, you're a day late again. I already committed to somebody.
Well, maybe you can make it up to him at a Trans Am race. If you have an off weekend and he's running Trans Am, maybe you can make it up to him that way.
I've got a couple Trans Am races I think I'm doing with Matt Tift this year. So.
Well, maybe not.
So you just never know where I'm going to turn up.
So, since producer Josh is probably having a heart attack because this has gone a lot
Probably.
longer than he wanted to, I told these people I would ask these questions. One gentleman in particular who gets he says when he's kind of in a funk, when he gets down, he plays the audio of you spotting for Corey LaJoy at the Daytona 500, and he feels like he can run through a brick wall. So
That was a good run to the finish line.
this gentleman here, he wants me to ask you, during the COVID Darlington rash, who had the most toilet paper in the garage?
That's a good. I'm trying to think who would ask that. Honestly, don't have an answer for that.
Well, that was Captain Ron, the hauler driver at GoFast. He also wanted me
it's
to
a long
ask.
story. We won't go into it, but that is a funny story. We'll have to come back. That's about a half a show why that question was asked, because they put all the porta-johns out, but they didn't bring any toilet paper.
Yeah. So producer Josh will put this on the calendar at some point in time. Have Pepper Part 2 coming on.
Yeah, I was not a happy camper about that. And so why would you bring the porta-johns out and not put toilet paper in the oven? You were supposed to, and we were told you were supposed to bring your own toilet paper for COVID. That's what one of the people at the track said. I'll never believe that was actually accurate. I just think he made it up. But it was, guys, I walked back to the trailer and was talking to Captain Ron, and I'll make it super quick and say that I was like, I cannot believe what I just heard. We have reached a new level of crazy right there.
See, another question I got for you. This comes from an ARCA team owner. I'm not going to say who, but he says it's hard growing a team doing it all. You get so busy on the organization side that you have to let go of things and oversee it rather than do it. So how do you accomplish that from a team manager perspective when you have to manage more than be hands-on? How large of a hurdle was that for you?
It's a good question. I had a guy come in today. Used to manage Mansfield Speedway, and he's gone to work for IHRA, and he came in and asked me that very same question basically today, because he was getting frustrated because he wants to, work 100 miles an hour, and he said he was coming in to see me, and he said, how do you stay so calm? And the answer would be that everybody's going to make mistakes, and I don't know why, but you just have to be patient. Now, don't get me wrong. Behind closed doors, I get very frustrated by it. But everybody only knows what they know. You can't drag them along. You can only help them. And most people yelling at them doesn't really help them. If you're going to build a great team, you've got to build the people up. And I've always thought that. I mean, everybody responds a little differently, so you have to learn your people. So a lot of it is learning how they respond. Some people you do need to yell at. But for the most part, and I get this from my mother, it was worse when she would say she was disappointed in me than if she yelled at me over it. And so I kind of adopted that mentality at work that, man, if you just tell people you're disappointed in them and you can do better than this, you're better than this, they will respond to that 9 times out of 10 better than anything else, because nobody wants to be a disappointment. Nobody wants to be the weak link. And so if you kind of motivate them that way, I feel like you can help lift them up way better than beating them down by yelling at them and telling them, man, you sucked at this. Why did you do this wrong? That's not constructive. Just, you got to find a way to be constructive with it. So
that's one of the things that, so for a brief stint, and the economy got kind of bad, and I kind of got let go from a job. And I did the one job that I said I would never do. I said a long time ago I would never flip burgers for a living, but the opportunity presented itself. The franchise owner at a McDonald's happened to be there when I went in and asked for an application, and told me work 2 days, I'll pay you cash. If you like it, come and do it. So I didn't necessarily love it, but I went to do it because it was a job. It was putting food on the table and keeping a roof over the family's head. And I want to say this about their management training program, right? People go into McDonald's and they order their food, and they may have bad service. They may see the people working behind the counter, and one of the things that the McDonald's management training program said you touched on is to be a good manager, you do not tear people down. You pick the smallest thing that they're doing right and you make it a huge thing, right? So, man, the way you flip that burger, I've seen other people flip burgers. You do that really well. You're doing that so well. On the other hand, over here, when you get to the assembly area, why don't you just concentrate a little bit more over here like you do on that? So I see exactly what you're saying there. And I wish, the company I'm with now, some of the managers we get in the door, they don't know how to manage people. And like you said, yelling at people. Sometimes there's people you have to yell at. Producer Josh is probably yelling at me now. I can see things.
Probably yelling at both of us that we've talked too long.
So that having been said, I wanted to get that out there because you touched on that. And that was one of the things that it's been almost 18 years since I went through that management training program. And of all the things I have forgotten, I could not assemble a Big Mac right now to save my life. But when I'm talking to people in my business, as far as managing people, remember you're talking to a human being. And remember, this human being has a talent and it may yet be undiscovered. But if you help them with what they're doing right, then they have the potential to grow to where maybe one day, in a NASCAR shop, maybe one day they're tearing down a truck or tearing down a car. Maybe they're sweeping floors. There's video out there of Chad Canal sweeping floors at Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah.
Now he's won multiple championships as a crew chief and has an integral role with the team. So,
and Mr. Pepper may be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, without a doubt. Thank you for joining us. There's one thing that we like to do for all of our guests, and producer Josh has been this thing is getting heavy in his hands. I know it weighs a ton. He's going to drop a white flag, and this is your opportunity, the last lap of the show, where if you want to shout anybody out or just kind of throw anything at the fans, it's your time, sir.
I don't really have anything to add. I mean, it's been awesome being on the show and just talking racing with yourself and the producer beforehand, before we got the show going, just talking racing. Mostly just, I'm getting to live my dream. So I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. Everyone should try to attain that. If you can make your hobby your job, you'll never work a day in your life. My dad told me that. And that was a very true statement. I've been lucky enough to do that. And I just be happy with everything you do. And if you're not happy, go find what makes you happy. And I've been able to do that and surround myself with some really great people. And it's been a really great journey. And the journey's not over. We got a lot more races and championships to win, hopefully. And hopefully we bring a lot of fans in that can enjoy that with us, and new crew members and new sponsors and people that have never experienced getting to win. And hopefully we're able to do that at ThorSport Racing. And then I guess I would just say thank you to everybody that's been along on the journey with me and been a part of my life to make this dream of mine come true. And it's just been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Mr. Pepper, for your time. As I tell all my guests, your time our time is the most precious commodity we have, because once it's gone, we never get it back. So the fact that you spent this time with us, I appreciate it. I hope when the fans get to watch this that they enjoy it. And speaking of the fans, I want to remind y'all, while you're all watching this, we have to tame the savage algorithm of the YouTubes. So in order to do that, I need you to please like this. If you're not subscribed already, what's wrong with y'all? Come on, subscribe. There's going to be more content coming. We're going to have more special guests on. So like, subscribe, comment, let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. We'll take all your criticism. And if you're listening over on the audio realm, make sure you rate and review. And we appreciate that. In the meantime, keep your wheels down, eyes on the crown, and Corey LaJoy, please take us home.
Let me read Hebrews 12:1 real quick. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw up everything that hinders and the sin so easily entangles. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let's freaking go.